right, so we're doing Fireside Chats, Jam Film Resins.
This is the first one, so don't hold it against us. There's
So
that.
we'll do this together. All right, we'll do this together. First off, very cool shirt.
Thanks, I just got it at the Kodak Center.
Oh, snap.
Shout out Kodak Center.
What is your shirt? Do you even know what that is?
It's a type of film. If you buy 5247 stock, you have a time schedule. Well, I want to shoot it at this time. Well, we can't shoot it at that time because the stock that we got is specific for this type of light. Is that the correct?
Yes, so you would plan to have so much tungsten film on the truck and so much daylight on the truck, depending on what part of the script you're shooting. Then you would run into problems where maybe you went over on some of your tungsten, and now you're in a situation where you're in the middle of nowhere. You can't, it's a travel shoot. You're in the middle of the mountains. Who knows if you're in the country or not, but you have a bunch of daylight film.
So you're
left.
putting filters on there?
So what you have to do is take that daylight film, load it into the camera, and then you have to start. Most cinematographers know how to filterize the film, right? So it's like if you're putting a daylight stock in for tungsten, you want to put an 85B in. An 85B is basically it looks like a giant warm filter piece of glass that's just super, almost orange, right? And then you put that in front of your lens. But what you do when you do that is you lose light. You lose about a stop, sometimes up to a stop and a half. And you want to basically, now you have to open up and counteract, or you have to add more light to the scene. So everything with film is an ecosystem. You mess with one thing, everything else needs to be addressed.
And so if you open it up, does it get grainy?
Well, if you push the stock too far, yeah. So yeah, you could actually accidentally shoot a whole scene a stop off. What you do is you talk to your camera loader and your second AC, and you say on the reels that we just shot for this scene, how many reels was it? Hey Jesse, it was we just shot 5 loads of 5 400-foot loads, or 3 1,000-foot loads, which would be a lot of film for a scene. Okay, cool. Just those, push those a stop. So when you write it on here for the lab to push all of these film reels a stop. What is pushing? Pulling, push or pull. And all you're doing is you're adding or taking away silver to the actual image, and what it does is it lightens it or darkens it. You ever use it, Photoshop dodge and burning? Mm-hmm. It's the same exact thing, but it does it to the overall image in the developing.
Okay.
So right. So then you push it a stop, and let's say you have experience with this film stock because you used to shoot on it, like on low budget horror films back in the day and stuff. So you really know, like, I can actually push this thing a stop and a half before I start getting real dangerous grain. So you're like, oh, whew, I'm only pushing it a stop. Crisis averted. No one needs to know there was a problem, and everyone's happy. So that's kind of how you would do all that. So, but all filmmaking is all prep, right? So it's like if you're in a situation where you ran out of film, it's because you were hedging your bets on it. Maybe your producer was like, dude, we only have this amount of money for budget for film. They've already given you a sanction on it, essentially. They're basically withholding and restraining due to economics, which is a very real thing, and you can't really blame anyone, even though I guess you could, but nonetheless, those are real problems. Or you're on a movie where they're just like, dude, just order whatever the fuck you want, and then order 20% contingency of that film. And let's say you wrap the end of the movie and you look on the truck and you've got boxes of fucking Kodak film everywhere that's never used. You could actually take that film back to a reseller
and get your money.
Well,
at least some of it.
They were called short ends. Literally, there was a store dedicated to like big shows in particular. When I say in town, I'm referring to Los Angeles, but New York, London. I'm sure there was a short end place in Chicago at one point.
Maybe Paris.
Probably somewhere most likely Germany, if anything.
Okay.
But nonetheless, there was places that would actually take reclaim your film for you, and they would pay you almost 3/4 of what it was worth. But they would resell it to like film students and people who kind of needed film on a deal. But Kodak wouldn't take the film back because all sales are final. You know, it just is. That's just how Kodak never reclaimed any of their stuff. They may actually, if you actually never even opened up the big box of it, they may actually have done that. But I personally, my experience with Kodak is they never took it back.
I'll tell you a cool story from the book I read, and it was when George Eastman was like first getting acclimated with his business. I believe it was the dry plating. He sent them out, and he like had a bunch of people purchase them, and then something was happening to the exposure on them, so he literally bought all of them back from all of his customers to be in good standing with them, and then reformulated everything, and then was able to resell because he didn't want people to have a bad taste in their mouth about him. So I thought that was really profound reading about it.
That is pretty cool. A company in that circumstances, like late 1800s, right?
Yeah, it was right when he was like, you know, left the bank, did his first thing, and I believe it's where it's like he's getting into the film.
Late 1800s, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, you know, Tesla does that. You know, so companies that are still like upstarts that kind of want red camera, which is what we're shooting this interview on. Early on, if something went sour with the camera, you could just ship it in and they'd fix it for you, because they kind of knew they were giving you like prototype shit, beta shit, and they kind of were like, yeah, we just got to kind of like fix our problems along the way. And then a company inevitably gets to a place where they stop even offering that type of service, and it's like, hey dude, if it breaks, you gotta fix it.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it is cool that happened like that. Lots to talk about. So we haven't even gotten into any of our questions, but at least we're talking about stuff that is film and the context of film. I think it's lovely.